It began in silence. Not the kind that comforts, but the kind that hides shame. For years, Burkina Faso lived beneath a blanket of plastic, smoke, and despair. The world did not watch. And no one expected that in the heat of the Sahel, a miracle would take root. Where others saw filth, the women of Ouagadougou saw fiber. Where others turned away, the youth leaned in. They did not wait for foreign aid. They did not beg for solutions. They made them. From heaps of discarded bags came thread. From thread came dignity. From dignity came power. This is not a fairy tale. It is a rebellion woven on looms, built with compost, and coded in mobile apps. It is Burkina Faso's quiet revolution, where trash is no longer an end, but a beginning. Pushpin if you believe Africa's future will not be handed down from boardrooms in Brussels, but shaped by the hands of its own people. Like this video, subscribe, and share your voice. The story begins now. Before gold, there was garbage. Ouagadougou, the capital, produced over 300,000 tons of solid waste a year, yet fewer than half the people had access to waste collection. Streets drowned in refuse. Open fires choked the air. Rats and mosquitoes reigned in neighborhoods where children slept. Trash was not just an environmental failure, it was a failure of dignity, of governance, of hope. The smell was not just rot, it was a symbol. A symbol of everything that had gone wrong. But what if garbage was not the end of the story? What if, buried under the stench, lay a path to sovereignty? In Burkina Faso, a revolution was born not with flags or fire, but with hands. The hands of women. The same hands that have cooked, carried, cleaned, and been overlooked for centuries. Now, those hands are weaving a new reality, thread by plastic thread. This is the story of power reclaimed in silence. Of dignity rescued from dumpsters. For years, the women of Burkina Faso were last in line. Last to speak. Last to be paid. First to be blamed. In cities like Ouagadougou and Bobo-Dioulasso, they were often the ones most exposed to the waste crisis, caring for sick children coughing from smoke. Wading through trash to reach markets, watching as their neighborhoods drowned in garbage and bureaucracy. But change did not come from above. It started with a whisper. A choice. What if we stopped seeing trash as a curse? What if it became our resource, our right, our revenge? That whisper became a movement. It began with 10 women in a forgotten corner of the capital. They called themselves Recycle Faye from the local word for transformation. They started small, collecting discarded plastic bags in neighborhoods where no waste truck ever came. Bags that wrapped around trees, drifted into drains, clung to fences like ghosts of neglect. The work was hard. Sorting through refuse. Washing by hand. Drying under the sun. Cutting the plastic into thin strips. Turning them into yarn. But these women knew what centuries of struggle had taught them: value is not given. It is made. They built looms from recycled wood. Taught each other to weave, passing the rhythm of ancestral cotton techniques into new forms. Every handbag, every rug, every prayer mat told a story. We are not the waste. We are the ones who reimagine it. At first, neighbors mocked them. Children pointed. Some called them crazy. But then came the sales. Local markets bought. NGOs placed orders. One day, a buyer from France asked for a sample. The next, they were exporting. Today, over 150 women earn a living from Recycle Faye. Many were once widows with no income, single mothers surviving on a few coins a day. Now, they are paying school fees, buying land, and even investing in other women's businesses. One member says it best. Before, I avoided eye contact with the mayor. Now he shakes my hand. Their products have been showcased at African design fairs, featured in ethical fashion blogs across Europe, and worn by ministers visiting Burkina Faso. But the most valuable change is not on any balance sheet. It's in the eyes of their daughters. These girls grow up not just seeing women survive, but lead. The ripple has spread. Across the country, over 40 women-led cooperatives are now active in the waste economy. Some specialize in plastic. Others turn discarded textiles into children's clothing. In rural areas, women run compost centers, turning banana peels and millet husks into fertile gold for farming. These aren't just environmental projects. They are economic engines, social revolutions, identity restorations. And they're being noticed. Government programs are now offering microgrants. International organizations are funding training workshops. But here's the truth, this didn't start because someone funded it. It started because women refused to stay invisible. In many places around the world, waste work is stigmatized. In Burkina Faso, it is being dignified. Women wear uniforms now. They speak at town halls. They appear on national TV. One cooperative even won an award for climate innovation from the United Nations. The very material that once stained their neighborhoods is now raising their voices. Their power comes not from fighting men, but from building something too strong to be ignored. Trash has become their weapon, not to destroy, but to reconstruct. Reconstruct families. Reconstruct economies. Reconstruct the narrative of what it means to be African, to be female, to be powerful. Their message is clear. We do not need saving. We need recognition. In the heart of West Africa, women are not asking for space. They are creating it, with plastic. With purpose, with pride. And the world is watching. Globe showing Europe, Africa, these women are turning not just waste into wealth, but shame into strength. Pushpin if you believe real transformation begins where no one is looking. Tell their story. Like this video. Leave your thoughts. And remember, power does not always shout. Sometimes, it weaves. The revolution has new hands, young hands, calloused not from waiting, but from building. In Burkina Faso, where over 70% of the population is under 30, the waste crisis has sparked something unexpected, a renaissance of youth innovation. A movement that proves, trash is not the end of the line, it is the starting point of new careers. New technologies, new pride. They are not cleaning the future. They are coding it. In cities like Ouagadougou, Bobo Dioulasso, and Kédougou, young people once deemed unemployable are now leading a transformation with tricycles, smartphones, and solar panels. They're not just picking up trash, they're redesigning the entire system. Meet Green Faso, a mobile app built by a team of Burkinabe tech entrepreneurs in their 20s. They looked at the broken system, irregular waste pickups, illegal dumping, pollution, and asked, why can't this work like Uber? So, they built it. With a clean interface and local languages. Green Faso allows families to request waste pickups with a tap. It matches them with nearby registered collectors on tricycles. Payments are processed digitally. Collection routes are optimized with real-time maps. But the real innovation? Incentives. Users who sort waste at the source, organics, plastics, metals, earn points. These can be redeemed for mobile credit, rice, soap, or cooking oil at local stores. A gamified revolution, where participation means real rewards. We didn't want to wait for a ministry job, says Karim, one of the developers. We wanted to fix a problem. And get paid fairly for it. The results are staggering. In neighborhoods where Green Faso operates, recycling rates have tripled. Illegal dumping has fallen by 60%. Jobs have been created not just for collectors, but for coders, data analysts, logistics managers, and customer service agents. This is not aid. This is enterprise. And Green Faso is only one example. Across Burkina Faso, youth cooperatives are springing up around every stage of the waste value chain. Some build solar-powered compost units from scrap metal. Others process plastic into durable bricks used in construction. Many are launching e-commerce platforms to sell eco-products nationwide. Young mechanics convert old tuk-tuks into electric vehicles. Engineering students build pyrolysis machines to turn used tires into fuel. Graphic designers market upcycled bags on Instagram. What was once dirty work is now desirable. But the shift is not only technological, it is psychological. For generations, waste was something to hide from. Now, it's something to be proud of. Young people are putting eco-entrepreneur in their bios. Schools are adding courses in green trades. Universities are encouraging thesis projects focused on waste valorization. The Ministry of Youth and Employment has launched Startup Vert, Green Startup, a program to mentor youth in circular economy ventures. Winners receive seed funding, workspace, and exposure to investors. This is nation building from the ground up. The impact is visible. In some urban districts, youth unemployment has dropped by 15% in just a few years. And the dignity is unmistakable. I used to be ashamed to tell people I collect trash, says Isatu, a 24-year-old in Bobo. Now they ask me how to join. The work brings more than money. It brings meaning. Every plastic brick laid, every compost bin filled, every app update uploaded, it all tells a deeper truth: this generation is not lost. It is just unrecognized. Until now. They are redefining productivity. Redefining innovation. Redefining Africa, not as a continent of need, but of ideas. They do not wait for development plans. They write code. They ride. They repair. They rise. Their message is simple. We don't want to migrate. We want to build here. And this matters. In a world where millions of young Africans are pressured to seek opportunity abroad, Burkina Faso's youth are offering another vision: staying, innovating, and owning their country's future. They are building businesses not with capital, but with conviction. They are designing technologies not for export, but for survival. And they are turning what the world throws away into symbols of self-worth. It's not just trash anymore. It's data. It's fuel. It's identity. Pushpin if you believe Africa's youth are not a burden but a force. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Share this story. And never underestimate the power of a young mind given a broken system, and the freedom to fix it. A new kind of power is rising in Burkina Faso, not the kind that rules from skyscrapers, but the kind that grows from rooftops made of recycled tiles, streets paved with plastic bricks, and hands that know how to transform waste into wealth. This is not a story of dependence. It is a story of decentralized strength, a circular economy born not from aid, but from adaptation. At the heart of this revolution lies a bold philosophy: no waste is truly waste. Every item thrown away is a potential beginning. That's why Burkina Faso rejected the top-down, one-size-fits-all model of waste management often promoted by Western consultants. Instead of investing in massive centralized incinerators or expensive mechanized sorting plants, the country chose something different: community-led resilience. Hundreds of micro-recycling and compost centers now dot the nation, especially in peri-urban zones and small towns. Each center is modest but effective. Local teams manage them. Plastic is washed, sorted, pressed into construction bricks. Organic waste is composted into rich, dark fertilizer. Women run the books. Youth run the machines. Each site is not just a waste facility. It is a school, a business, a symbol. The model is elegantly simple. Local collection. Local processing. Local benefits. By cutting out costly transport, central bureaucracy, and middlemen, the system works faster and cheaper. And most importantly, it puts power in the hands of the people. The results? Profound. Waste valorization rates in major cities now exceed 45%. Urban flooding has decreased due to better waste channeling. Farmers are using compost to restore depleted soils, increasing yields by up to 30%. Export is now part of the equation. Plastic bags turned into handbags are sold in Paris and Brussels. Plastic bricks are being used in construction projects in neighboring Mali and Niger. Burkina Faso is no longer just cleaning its streets, it is exporting solutions. This rise in visibility has attracted attention. UN agencies, World Bank teams, EU Green Innovation grants, have all poured in to learn, support, and replicate. But the real value of this system lies in what it refuses to do. It refuses to wait. It refuses to surrender sovereignty. It refuses to see poverty as a permanent condition. Burkina Faso's circular economy is not a reaction. It is a declaration. A declaration that resilience doesn't need high-tech imports. That development can be built from the bottom up. That dignity can rise from discarded plastic and composted banana peels. In this ecosystem, each citizen is a stakeholder. Every bag sorted is a vote for self-reliance. Every compost pile is a protest against monoculture dependence. Every plastic brick laid is a foundation of independence. The brilliance of this movement lies in its replicability. Already, other West African nations are sending delegations to study it. Togo, Ghana, Senegal, they are not coming as donors, but as learners. The African Union is exploring how this model could become a regional blueprint. Not just for trash, but for trade, energy, food. At the last UN Climate Summit in Nairobi, Burkina Faso's Minister of Environment stood not as a passive observer, but as a pioneer. His message was clear. We may be landlocked, but we are not locked out of the future. Today, the phrase, made in Burkina, is starting to mean something more. Not just product origin, but process integrity. Because when a country builds value from waste, it's not just saving resources, it's rewriting its narrative. And that narrative is loud, proud, and profoundly local. Pushpin if you believe real leadership is not about control, but creation. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like this story. And let the world know, true power may start with trash, but it ends with sovereignty. For decades, Africa was mined for its resources, gold, oil, cobalt. But now, a new commodity has emerged. Not underground. Not guarded by barbed wire. But lying openly on the streets, waste. What began as a survival strategy in Burkina Faso has quietly become a geopolitical asset. In recent years, diplomats from China, France, and even Canada have visited local recycling cooperatives, not for aid missions, but for memorandums of understanding. They no longer come to extract, they come to replicate. Western development banks, once focused on megaprojects, now compete to fund small-scale compost systems. China's Belt and Road Initiative is pivoting to include support for community recycling hubs across West Africa, starting with models born in Ouagadougou. Why? Because the world is shifting. As climate anxiety rises, countries are racing to brand themselves as green leaders. But many of them lack scalable, socially embedded models. Burkina Faso, with its grassroots-first, tech-adapted, community-run network, offers a playbook others cannot easily copy. Suddenly, rubbish is currency. Not in dollars, but in diplomatic leverage. At the last Africa-EU summit, Burkina Faso's proposal for an intercontinental, circular solidarity fund drew rare consensus. African nations backed it. European nations applauded it. Why? Because unlike raw minerals, circular models cannot be plundered. They must be adopted and respected. This shift is rewriting relationships. Once patronized as a poor, landlocked country, Burkina Faso is now hosting innovation summits. Its youth entrepreneurs are invited to panels once reserved for Silicon Valley. Its women cooperatives are studied in Harvard case studies. Its waste policy is cited in UN climate frameworks. The West no longer sees Burkina Faso through the lens of security risk, but strategic influence. And other nations are taking notes. In Nairobi, an East African diplomat whispered, "We used to send students to study in Paris. Now we send them to Ouagadougou." But with influence comes risk. Global green investors are circling. Tech multinationals offer acquisition deals. There are whispers of governments seeking to license Burkina's model under their flags, diluting its ownership. Here lies the twist. A nation once ignored is now negotiating from strength. But sovereignty is not just about saying no to troops, it is about saying no to co-option. No to greenwashing. No to erasure. Burkina Faso's trash revolution has reached a crossroads. Will it remain community-led, or be rebranded as a donor-driven success? Will women and youth remain owners, or become case study footnotes? Will it stay local, or become another story the world tells itself about Africa? The next chapter is not about trash. It's about who owns the future. Pushpin if you believe that solutions born in the Sahel belong to those who created them. Share this story. Speak out. Because this time, Africa is not for sale. It started with trash. But it ends with something far greater, a new imagination of what a people can build when left to define value on their own terms. In Burkina Faso, women picked up what the world threw away, and turned it into a flag. Youth took what others burned, and wrote code from its ashes. They built not just a system, but a story. One that says, we are not victims of circumstance. We are authors of change. Today, the world looks to Burkina Faso not with pity, but with curiosity, admiration, even envy. Because here, every bag sorted, every brick laid, every compost heap stirred, is not just an act of cleaning. It is an act of sovereignty. Pushpin if the spirit of Burkina Faso has stirred something in you. Don't let it fade. Like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. But more than that, take this fire with you. In a world drowning in waste and waiting for permission, Burkina Faso didn't wait. They acted. Now, it's our turn.